sometimes it's better to be a facilitator than it is to be an expert. Sometimes just being able to make things happen is better than having all the answers.
I'm here on the pollinator path at St. Thomas University, a reminder of the commitment that students at colleges and universities all throughout the Twin Cities have to our environment. How could students and people of all walks of life be part of solutions and start early to make a big difference? Today I'm talking with Alboury Ndiaye, who's a sustainability specialist at Minnesota Wastewise, using his international experience and experience as an alum at St. Thomas University to make a difference when it comes to waste and recycling at buildings throughout the Twin Cities.
My name is Alboury Ndiaye, and I'm a sustainability specialist with Minnesota Wastewise. But more than that, I'm a Senegalese American. I'm a son and a brother, music lover, music player, nature lover. My father is from Senegal in West Africa. My mother is from South Minneapolis. And when I was growing up, I was moving around Africa because of my mother's work. She worked for USAID doing developmental work. So every couple of years we'd move to a different country. And over my childhood I lived in South Africa, Ghana, Senegal, which was really special for me to be able to live in the country where my father's from, and finish high school in Egypt. And looking back, at the time when you're living that life, it feels completely normal. I mean, you're a kid, this is the life you know. You don't really question anything, but ever since I've been living in the States, just being able to look back on that experience and reflect on it, truly it was the experience of a lifetime for me. I think what was weird for me when I first moved here was I think I was trying to mold myself too much to what I thought I should be as an American. Looking back on it now, like my first year of school at St. Thomas, in a sense I was almost watering myself down to make it more palatable for people who had never left the country or were just from the suburbs. One thing I'm trying to work on right now is going by my full name. When I first started at St. Thomas, I was going by Al a lot because people are just bad at pronouncing my name. So I'm starting to go by my full name again, and it's really great actually. It feels really nice and really is like starting to help me like get back in touch with an identity.
I think there's a lot of power in names, and I'm glad that you see the power in your name and you are like almost, it sounds like reclaiming it in a way, even though it's always been there like for you. I would love to know from you more about your upbringing and your story, and so I'll ask, first of all, what did you want to be when you were growing up?
I think I kind of went through like the classic little kid, I want to be like a rock star, want to be a pilot when I was growing up. It was really growing up overseas where I really developed an interest for environmentalism and sustainability, being able to travel the world and see all sorts of beautiful landscapes and vistas that this planet has to offer. On the other side of that, especially in Africa, a lot of the states there don't have the capacity to deal with their waste problems, and there's a lot of single-use packaging and plastics that just gets all over the place. Some places are better than others, but as a kid, I was really struck with images of grasslands and beaches and jungles covered with plastic. I think that was really where the seed was first planted. When I started school at St. Thomas, I wanted to do political science. So really believed in the potential that government and policy had to improve people's lives. And it was about halfway through my college career, and I saw that there was an intro to environmental science option, and I decided to take it, and that kind of in a way changed my life and set me on the path I am now. And I think that's kind of what rekindled my interest in sustainability and, more importantly, waste that I developed when I was a child. So shout out to Dr. Kelly and Dr. Laura. After I graduated, I applied for a number of environmental jobs that I was, to be fair, unqualified for at the time. So I worked some odd jobs for a while, and worked as a cook, worked as a bartender, and I really think that everyone needs to work in the service industry at some point in their life because it teaches you a lot about yourself, a lot about people, and you take a lot away from it. About a year later after I graduated, where one of my former bosses at an internship I did told me about an AmeriCorps program called Minnesota Green Corps. So this was a really great program for me, and it gave me the opportunity I needed to get that hands-on experience. So I was posted back at St. Thomas actually, which was interesting being back so soon after graduation, and I was working with the Office of Sustainability Initiatives there, really focused on the topics of energy, waste and recycling, and multimodal transportation. So really kind of a holistic approach to how sustainability looks on campus.
Have there been other challenges on your journey to the point where you are now?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. But it's the challenges that have made me, I think. You know, I always like to say it's the fire that forges the iron, you know. I really was dealing with like some imposter syndrome type stuff because this was my first time working in this field, and I felt like I had to come in as an expert when truly I was learning as well. And this was also my first time managing a large group of people like that, so trying to be a leader and be a resource and be reliable. Don't get me wrong though, like I had a fantastic time working there, but still dealing with these challenges along the way was kind of tricky. I think there's a larger fear as a black man that if you're not competent, you're going to be judged a little more harshly. I think one aspect of white privilege is that fake it till you make it is a little more convincing. I've kind of like humbled myself a lot, really digesting the notion that I don't need to have all the answers and that I'll always be a student in a sense. And I think really also digesting the notion that sometimes it's better to be a facilitator than it is to be an expert. Sometimes just being able to make things happen is better than having all the answers.
What do you do in your work at WasteWise?
As an organization, what we do is that we help businesses and multi-unit apartments out with waste and recycling challenges. So the business team, they work with manufacturers, bars, breweries, cafes, restaurants, churches, anything that produces waste or recycling. And so what we do is that we go into these places for site visits and we meet with the business owners and we have a conversation about what their operation looks like and what type of challenges they're experiencing, and we're essentially able to come up with a tailored solution for how to deal with those. So whether it's getting them the equipment they need to manage their recycling, getting them funding for reusable items to get rid of single-use stuff, or just finding an outlet for hard to manage or hard to recycle items. That's kind of what we do on the business side of things. On the multi-unit side of things, for the most part, people have the same issues place to place, just dealing with contamination in their recycling stream and getting information and engaging with residents. That's the team I work on, but why I really like it is because it's very people-facing, which is something that I think gets me excited about this work and energizes me. Being able to be a resource for people, when you see that aha moment when someone learns something new about recycling or learns that there's a compost drop-off right around the corner from their building, it's really nice to be able to provide that information to people. You know, a lot of the stuff is already out there. It's just a matter of finding it, and people don't always know where to look or necessarily have the motivation to go find it. But I think that puts us in a good position to be facilitators, to be able to provide that information and resources to the people who need it.
How can people support the work that you do and the work that Minnesota WasteWise does?
Locally, If you own a business or if you are an apartment resident and you would like to get some recycling assistance, grant funding, or just any resources like that, look us up. We'd be happy to help you out. If you are a professional in the sustainability industry and you would like to connect, I think it's really important for us to form networks, share ideas, thoughts, and experiences. Just learning from each other is super valuable. And the conversations we've had with other groups who do similar things or in the waste industry always provides a ton of insight for us. And as far as I know, this is a fairly novel program as far as the approach we take to working with multi-unit buildings. And if you are interested in doing any work like this, I think we would love to connect with you and share our experience and the lessons that we've learned along the way.
I wonder for you personally, thinking of just a young person who's watching this, do you have any advice for someone who's looking for their role?
I guess for someone like me who didn't really have any professional experience but had a lot of passion, really consider AmeriCorps programs. I think they provide really good opportunities for people who want to get their foot in the door, and if you're kind of looking for a way to get into this, that's a really good way. There's always, local groups and people doing good work that you can get involved in as well, and I think just being around people who are doing that is a good first step too, just to know what type of issues people are taking on, how they're taking it on, and just being around to help out however you can, and just kind of be a sponge, soak up knowledge, and find out what really is interesting to you, what you want to spend your time on. I think that's a great way to do it. My name is Alboury Ndiaye. I work for Minnesota Wastewise, and I'm helping the world reach drawdown by helping multi-unit apartments and its residents get the resources, information, and infrastructure they need to recycle and compost successfully.